So to get started, this is the undercover where your brake pedal and gas is just gonna have one of these pull type clips. There should be 3 of them, but this one's missing one of them. And to remove the steering column area cover, it's only gonna have one Phillips here and another Phillips right here, these two, and pretty much everything just kind of pops off. Nothing but clips, so just kind of pull it towards you and be careful pulling on it. Next one is you will have to take off the steering column cover. You want to take off the fast key cover. All you have to do is press this first, the little top button right here. That would release the clipping or the locking tab or whatever that is. Take this off. And to remove the bottom piece, it's going to have 2 Phillips head right there, and just kind of slowly wiggle it out. Like I said, it's only held by little clips, so there's nothing really tough to remove, but you do have to wiggle it a little bit here and there. And once you get that out, we're gonna go ahead and start looking for our wires. I did notice on this one, I don't know if this is like a safety issue or what, but you can wiggle it like that. But like I said, I don't know if that's a safety issue or not, but I mean, it's there, so I'm not going to worry too much on it. We're going to be taking off or putting down the airbag, that way it's facing down, and we'll go ahead and begin. Went ahead and dropped down the airbag. It's held by 4 12mm. Let me double check real quick. Yeah, 12 mil. Once you get that out, just put it aside. We're going to be maneuvering all of our wires to all this. I'm not really sure what all these wires are, but we're going to go leave them alone. But overall, this shouldn't be too hard of an install. It's pretty straightforward, so I will kind of guide you to it and hopefully get it all knocked out as well. So the first thing you will wire up is the ground. This is just a temporary. Obviously, I'll take this back off once I put back the airbag, but this is just to power everything, check everything, and things like that. The first thing you're going to set up is the ignition, the accessory, and the starter. That'll be the yellow is the starter, green is ignition, white is accessory. And as you can see, there are pretty tiny wires right here. This is all your ignition. I'm going to go ahead and wire everything up and show you which one that you're going to need to tap into. Make sure, always double check as well. I always do it anyway, but if you're on the other end, I would just make sure, turn the key, make sure the ignition is on, make sure the starter's on, ignition on, things like that. But I'll go ahead and do that and show you what that looks like. So this will be the full wiring and information and such like that. As you remember, this is going to be temporary ground until I put back the airbag. The power would be right here. Zip tie on it just in case. These are not my wiring, so I had to kind of move around. The parking light is kind of tricky. This one has 2 power wires, so what I had to do was on the green white of the Compustar, you will need a you need 2 3-amp diodes, 12 volt. That way it'll go to both parking light. The plug would be this bottom one right here, this white. One parking light would be that gray, which would be 1 from the top, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 1 parking light. The second one will be this yellow right here. So go ahead and tag both of those. So like I said, number 1, yellow right here is parking light 1. Then move on 4 to number 4, and it'll be that gray. For the ignition, you're going to go from the white of Compustar to light green, the starter yellow going to orange, and the green to white. That takes care of the ignition. And this is the bypass module wiring. So the black, or the white black, sorry, you're going to be looking for this plug, and it'll be in pin number 2. which is that green right here. This one requires you to cut it in half, as that's the tumbler sensing. You're gonna need the white black from Compustar going to the cut away side of the plug, and then the gray red and white red going to the plug side, and they're wired together. And the horn would be in this plug right here. It'll be the green wire that goes to the white of the Compustar, and the can low and can high would be this twisted wire on this side right here. This is the immobilizer box right here, so just kind of trace it. The brown red would go to white blue, and the brown yellow goes to black with blue. And like I said, this is hard to miss. It's going to be twisted together, so it's easy to spot. And go ahead and put a zip tie on that one as well. Like I said, this one kind of looks like a mess right now, just because I'm obviously having to show you what I'm wiring to. But all of these would be cleaned up once I'm ready to put everything back together. But overall, I'll show you how to program the bypass module and how to program TAC. And basically, all you have to do is run the antenna to the top, the shock sensor, the LED, all of those plug in to the module, and you are done. Here's the final result. I already got everything zip tied. These ones are all zip tied together, away from any metal, along with the module once the panel goes back in. This is what I was talking about, the ground right here. So you don't have to drill anything or do any of that stuff, but always trying to use one that's accessible without having to drill. I'm just trying to tuck some of these extra wires that was ran here. But the brain is mounted right here. The drone, everything is pretty much hidden in a way. Nothing's touching. No metal is rubbing, which is always the goal. But so you can see that's the only thing you should see with this little cavity. But anyway, everything is, like I said, you don't want to make it too tight, just because you want it to kind of freely move. If you make it too tight, it'll eventually keep tugging on the wire. Eventually it will break off. Ford is actually notorious for that. They always break off at the door boot because they're so tight, so the opening and closing eventually breaks it off. But anyway, this one is pretty much done. I'll go ahead and put everything back together and test the drone, test the alarm, test everything else. So to program the immobilizer bypass and the door lock system, your blade AL must be programmed to the vehicle that you're installing it into. The installer can do that, or the person that you bought it from can also do that for you. Luckily, this is the method where you don't have to send the module back and then they'll flash it again a second time. This is only a one-time thing. So what you're going to have to do is insert it all the way. You will want to wait for a blue light. All you have to do is turn the ignition on the on position, but don't try to start it. So, and just like that, it's pretty much programmed. Alright, for this particular programming, you will need the vehicle running, as you will program the TAC signal. It goes to data, so you don't have to wire anything for that. What you have to do is start the vehicle, let it run for about 10-15 seconds. Once it kind of stabilizes a little bit, you will hold the brake pedal, keep holding it, hold the remote start button, Here's the initial test. I don't really like that double honking deal, but the factory is still active, so it will honk along with the unit telling it to honk. I enabled the feature where you can actually silence the locking and locking, so that's pretty much optional to you. But anyway, the system will only be disarmed with the Compustar unit. You cannot disable it or anything like that with the factory, so even if you open it, a little added protection. So press it again until the keyless entry fully goes on unlock, and that's pretty much disarmed.